Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of What's in My Room here on Delusions of Grandeur. And I'm your host, David Strege, and here I'm going to tell you what's in my third group of films that begin with the letter V. So the first is the German edition of the Violent Shit, the trilogy. And this is a limited edition copy of 20 out of evidently this is the 25th anniversary. This is a limited edition number 20. And you have Violent Shit Part 1, which is the 20th anniversary edition. Violent Shit Part 2, which is the 15th anniversary edition. And then we have a Violent Shit Part 3, which is the 10th anniversary edition. So, evidently, Violent Shit had been around for 20 years. Violent Shit Part 2, 15, and Violent Shit Part 3, 10, for this anniversary edition of this German trilogy. Lang lebe Karl the Butcher. Erstmalig wird die Violent-Shit-Serie in einer limitierten DVD-Box präsentiert. Digital Remastered Lang lebe Karl the Butcher. Deutsch Würde. Regisseur Andreas Schnoss. Endgültig zum deutschen Meister des Splatterfilms. So, that edition. Next, I have a double feature from Camp Motion Pictures, and this is what it says on the front of it. Could this happen to your video store when renting is not enough? First, I have Video Violence from 1987, and Video Violence 2 from 1988. Loaded dual layer DVD. And these were directed by Gary P. Cohen. Next, I have Vampires: The Turning, which I actually ended up buying with the John Carpenter's Vampires and Los Muertos in a trilogy pack. Even though this says it is directed by Marty Weiss, and it was put out by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment, working with Destination Films and Sandstorm Films, is Vampires: The Turning. From the one came the many. So the film stars Cullen Egglesfield, Stephen Chad, Meredith Monroe, and Patrick Bachow. Next, I have Vampires vs. Zombies, and this is directed by Vince D'Amato, put out by the Asylum Home Entertainment and Kaboom. The battle between the living and the undead has begun. Vampires vs. Zombies. Next, I have Vault of Terror 2, The Undead. And this says, "Come on in, death is waiting for you. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." So this is put out and distributed by Full Circle Filmworks, which I believe is Sean Weathers' film production company. And this anthology tells 6 tales from 6 directors. The first in the wraparound tale, The Fappening, directed by Sean Weathers. A filmmaker steeped in a sex scandal goes to extreme lengths to further his career, and he's not looking so great. Gregory G. Kurzinski, a guy who tries to break up his girlfriend during the zombie apocalypse in Friends in Dark Places. Charlton Jacques. A couple is met with a frightening revelation from their troubled son in Sepulture, from John Reyna and Julia Dickman. Killer Zombies Are the Last of Your Worries in The Butcher Game, by Jerry Landy, and a serial killer massacres a group of strangers in Demonic Frequency, by Jerry Landy. A satanic cult releases the undead upon the world. Among the stars appearing are Tina Krause, Rachel Robbins, Erica Smith, Lloyd Kaufman, and Joel M. Reed in Vault of Terror 2, The Undead. Next, I have a 80s comedy with Tom Hanks and John Candy playing Tom Tuttle in Volunteers. The film is directed by Nicholas Mayer, and it was on HBO Home Video at one point in time. Next, I have Visitor Q on the Tokyo Shock distribution. And it's a film by Takashi Mike. Visitor Q is one of the most disturbing and taboo-bashing experimental works from the acclaimed director Takashi Mike of Audition, Dead or Alive, and Fudo fame. Visitor Q presents a harrowing, absurd take on the reality TV phenomenon, depicting the chilling disintegration of a dysfunctional family starring Kenichi Endo from Dead or Alive 2, and Takeshi Kitano's Violent Cop. Visitor Q seals Mike's reputation as one of cinema's most daring and dangerous cinematic visionaries. We have Visitor Q. Next I have, at one point in time, I think this was out of print, Irwin Allen's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Fantastic Voyage. From 20th Century Fox. And Irwin Allen directed Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, but he did not direct the other film, Fantastic Voyage. He directed Richard Fleischer directed that one, and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea starred Walter Pidgeon, Joan Fontaine, Barbara Eden, Peter Lorre, Robert Sterling, Michael Ansara, and Frankie Avalon. And Fantastic Voyage starred Stephen Boyd, Raquel Welch, Edmund O'Brien, Donald Pleasance, Arthur O'Neill, William Wrightfield, and Arthur Kennedy. Two very interesting films. Next I have a film called Vindication, which that is directed by Bart Mastronardi. That says on here, guilt shows no mercy. Interesting. Next I have a film by Marian Dora called Voyage to Agatis. And this is from Massacre Video. So, Marian Dora. Next I have a 2-disc version of Virgins from Hell. They have known every pleasure but touch of a man's hand. From Massacre Video. Virgins from Hell was directed by Akhil Anwari from Indonesia in 1987. And evidently on the second disc here, it's got Destination Jakarta. 70 minutes of trailers from the studio behind Virgins from Hell. Documentary on Indonesian exploitation cinema. The wild world of cinema. This has to be one of the wildest films ever to come out of Asia. The action kicks off with a girl biker gang clad in leather, hot pants, raiding a casino drug den, and then it starts to get crazy. The gang is led by 2 girls who were forced to watch as the leader of the drug syndicate murdered their parents and stole their land. To take revenge, they train a gang of hot biker babes to take on Mr. Tiger, the bad guy. Unfortunately, they lose the battle and are taken prisoner. Incarcerated in a women's prison camp, they find themselves the playthings of the camp's vicious lesbian wardress. But worse, they are to be used as guinea pigs in an experiment aimed at producing an aphrodisiac drug that will turn all women into helpless sex slaves. Next, I have the Vacation Collection. And this has National Lampoon's Vacation, Vegas Vacation, Christmas Vacation, and European Vacation. I put that in the V's. Next, I have this Region 1 copy of Venom. And this is directed by Jim Gillespie. Director Jim Gillespie's hit slasher film from 1997, I Know What You Did Last Summer, saw 14s being stalked by a shadowy figure. In 2005, Gillespie helms Venom, a further entry into the stalk and slash genre that sees the director returning to familiar ground. The plot is basic and simply serves to allow the requisite group of dumb teens to either meet their maker or narrowly escape the clutches of a mysterious stalker. Set in Louisiana, the voodoo that the region is notorious for has rippled through a local graveyard and sucked up all the evil spirits of the dead who lay there, depositing them in a suitcase full of snakes. When local bad boy Rick, played by Rick Kramer, who is the scourge of the town's teen population, meets a grisly demise in a car accident, the snakes are unleashed, and Ray, also known as Mr. Jangles, so called because he collects keys from his dead victims, is resurrected. Next, I have a schlockumentary called VHS Lives, which I believe was put together by Tony Newton. Deadly Indie Drive-In says, I've watched it 3 times and will watch it again. This is a cult classic. VHS Lives, a schlockumentary. Alright, so Rudy Ray Moore stars in Violent New Breed. And it says, sending demons back to hell, one ass at a time. This is a Todd Sheets film with Camp Motion Pictures and Eclipse Entertainment, with Extreme Entertainment being his main Venom in Violent New Breed. I actually got that straight from him. So that is from him. Directed by Taylor Sheridan, put out by Anchor Bay Entertainment, with Vile Entertainment is Vile. With Tony Seven Films and Outsider Pictures. Give Till It Hurts. Vile definitely produces fear and paranoia from Bloody Disgusting. April Matson, Akeem Smith, Greg Sipes, Eric E. Beck, Alicia Scorman, Heidi Mueller, Maya Hazen, Rob Kirkland, all starring in Vile. This is actually one of my favorites. It's called Vanishing on 7th Street. It stars Hayden Christian, Thandie Newton, and John Leguizamo. It was put out by Magnet Releasing, and it was directed by Brad Anderson. And it's pretty much kind of reminisces on the story of Roanoke. So here is another Here is another edition of Violent Shit, and this is the German release in hardbox of Violent Shit, the movie, and it's number 129 out of 999 of this all-region Blu-ray DVD set of this film. And it's a little bit different, as it kind of looks like that. This is not from Reliquaire. This is from 8 Films. And this film is directed by Luigi Pastore. Of course, Carl the Butcher shows up in this particular film once again. So there we have it. That is the last of the V's. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, and morning, wherever you are. I appreciate your time spent here on this page, and I enjoy going on about these films if I have that I have collected. And being I'm a collector first, I figured I'd show you a bit of what was, well, not a little bit. I'd show you every single thing that I have, since I didn't start doing these video collections right away until like halfway through my collection. So in any case, thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, and morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time spent here, and thank you oh so much. I will definitely have some more cool stuff to show you in the future. I have a lot to share with you. So I lied. There's more. The next film, starting with a V, is View from the Top, and it stars Gwyneth Paltrow with Christina Applegate, Mark Ruffalo, Candice Bergen, Kelly Preston, Rob Lowe, and Mike Myers, starring as well in it. And it's directed by Bruno Barreto. And this, once again, I got it from Lomira Video, which friend of mine's uncle owned the place, and he ended up dying, and she ended up getting the results from it. So next I have a film by Vincent Ward called Vigil. This is the Arrow Special Edition version of it. He was once described as the antipodine Werner Herzog, and he made his feature debut with Vigil, heralding his status as one of New Zealand's most distinctive filmmaking talents, and paving the way for such equally remarkable and unclassifiable efforts as The Navigator, a Medieval Odyssey, and Map of the Human Heart. A stranger appears in a remote New Zealand farmland at the exact time a farmer accidentally falls to his death. The mysterious outsider grows close to some of the dead men's family, to the point where he and the widow become lovers. But her 11-year-old daughter, Toss, struggling to come to terms with the death of her father as well, as her impending womanhood, believes the intruder to be the devil, and sets about protecting her family and their homestead. Vigil is propelled by Fiona Kaye's outstanding performance as Toss. The young actress would earn a standing ovation when the film was screened at the 1984 Cannes Film Festival. the first time that a New Zealand feature had played in the main competition. So there we go with Vigil. Gonna check that out eventually. Next I have Village of the Damned, starring George Sanders and Barbara Shelley, and Children of the Damned, starring Ian Hendry, Alan Battle, Barbara Ferris, and Alfred Burke. A double feature of these two films. The first film is directed by Wolf Rilla, and the second film is directed by Anton M. Leader. So there we have those two films. And then, of course, that film was also remade. It was remade. It's also a Universal picture, and it was directed by John Carpenter. Stars Christopher Reeve and Kirstie Alley in it, and it says, "Beware the children." Next, I have a film that is directed by Leon Klimovsky, and its original title is called La Rebellion de las Muertes, otherwise known as Vengeance of the Zombies, and it's distributed by Victory Films with Demos Entertainment, mastered in high definition from the original negative, and it stars Paul Naschy in it. Next I have Victor Frankenstein, which stars Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy, and it says The Legend Reborn, directed by Paul McGugan. Next I have Vamps 2, Blood Sisters. And that this is directed by Mark Burchett. And apparently there's a bonus feature film on here for that says it's 1996's Vamps Deadly Dream Girls. And there are some bonus Shakorama Cinemas shocking shorts featuring Portal the Movie, which is directed by Bill Sebastian. This was put out by Shakorama Cinema and worked with EI Independent Cinema. That's an out-of-print movie. Next, I have another film that I picked up from Lamira Video, a video rental store from here in Wisconsin. In fact, it was originally on 522 Milwaukee Street, and it was Lamira Video and General Store. But Tom Cruise stars in this film called Vanilla Sky. And Cameron Crowe directed the film, and it also stars Penelope Cruz, Kurt Russell, Jason Lee, Noah Taylor, and Cameron Diaz. Next, I have Vanishing Point, which this is from 20th Century Fox, and it stars Barry Newman, Dean Jagger, and Cleveland Little. but it is directed by Richard C. Serafian. Vanishing Point. Next, I have a film called Vendetta. Judge, Jury, Executioner, starring Danny Dyer, Vincent Regan, Bruce Payne, and Joseph Alton. And the film is directed by Stephen Reynolds. Next, I have Victor Crowley, which is supposedly the fourth film in the Hatchet film series, and it's directed by Adam Green. It says Return to the Swamp. Featuring Laura Oritz, Holliston and The Hills Have Eyes, Dave Sheridan, Scary Movie, and Brian Quinn from True TV's Impractical Jokers. Writer director Adam Green's triumphant return to the helm of his beloved slasher series proudly assures an all-new horrifying journey into the haunted, blood-drenched bayou. Victor Crowley. Next, I have Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak in Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece Vertigo in its special edition version. This is the Universal Legacy series. I was glad that they were putting them out in these two-disc combustion things. But yeah, Vertigo. Love it. Absolutely love it. Next, I have Arturo Ruiz Esparza, who directed Veritas, Prince of Truth, The Adventure of a Lifetime, The Fate of His World is in Your Hands. Next, I have the VHS trilogy. And the first one is called VHS V/H/S. And it is directed by Adam Wingard, David Bruckner, Ty West, Glenn McQuaid, Joe Swanberg, and Radio Silence. Put out by Magnolia Home Entertainment, otherwise known as Magnet Releasing. Next one was VHS 2. This one was also a Magnolia Home Entertainment and Magnet Releasing and the Collective, in association with Bloody Disgusting, which these short films were directed by Simon Barrett, Adam Wingard, Edward Sanchez, Greg Hale, Timo Giacinto, Gareth Hugh Evans, and Jason Eisner. And finally, we have Marcel Sarmento, Greg Bishop, Nacho Vigalondo, Justin Benson, and Aaron Moorhead in VHS Viral. Mayhem Goes Viral. So this was also put out by Magnolia Home Entertainment with Mag Pictures and Magnet Releasing. I also have here Vamps. This was put out by Brentwood Home Video. It has 4 films on here. Vampire Stakes from 2002, Vulture's Eye from 2004, Abomination the Evil Maker from 2003, and The Darkness from 2003. So there we have Vamps, which is why I put this in the V's. Next, I have two films, two short films, I believe. This is a double feature with Vampire Babes. It's got The Vampire Bitches, which is directed by Henrique Couto. And it's got After the Blood Rush, which is directed by Pete Trudgeon. And this is from oldies.com. Henrique Couto's film stars Sean A. Green III, Henrique Couto, Michelle McLaughlin, and Plexi Starr. The After the Blood Rush film stars George Pagasic, John Anton, Matt Feazell, and Charity Peters. And I'll just show the back here. It's got two films. Next, I have the Video Nasty documentaries, which I believe are now out of print. These were put out by Severin Films and Nucleus Films. And the first one is called The Definitive Guide. And the second one is called The Definitive Guide 2. On the first, the era-defining and critically acclaimed documentary, Video Nasty's Moral Panic, Censorship, and Videotape, directed by Jake West from Doghouse, and produced by Mark Morris, co-editor of The Art of the Nasty and Shock Horror. Features interviews with filmmakers Neil Marshall, The Descent, and Doomsday. Christopher Smith of Severance and Black Death, and politician Graham Bright, as well as a rare archive footage featuring James Perman, director of the BBFC, 1975 to 1999, and Mary Whitehouse, taking in the explosion of home video, the erosion of civil liberties, the introduction of draconian censorship measures, hysterical press campaigns, and the birth of many careers born in blood and videotape. West's documentary also reflects on the influence this particular era still exerts on us today. And of course, original trailers for all 39 titles that were successfully persecuted in UK's courts and deemed liable to deprave and corrupt. These include Absurd, Anthropophagus, The Beast, Cannibal Holocaust, The Driller Killer, I Spit on Your Grave, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, Snuff, and Zombie Flesh Eaters. Original trailers for all 33 titles that were initially banned, but then subsequently acquitted and removed from the DPP's list. These include The Boogeyman, Death Trap, Deep River Savages, The Evil Dead, The Funhouse, Human Experiments, The Toolbox Murders, and Zombie Creeping Flesh. So, of course, we have Video Nasties, Draconian Days, the critically acclaimed follow-up documentary to Video Nasties, Moral Panic, Censorship, and Videotape, from director Jake West and producer Mark Morris, who continue to uncover the shocking story of home entertainment following the introduction of the 1984 Video Recordings Act. The UK was plunged into a new dark age of the most restrictive censorship, where the horror movie became the bloody, eviscerated victim of continuing dread created by self-aggrandizing moral guardians. And the film charts, the consequences of this include subversive social culture that sprung up around it, with fascinating interviews and more jaw-dropping archive footage. Get ready to reflect and rejoice on the passing of a turbulent time. And the Section 3 list, original trailers for all 82 movie titles that were designated under Section 3 of the Obscene Public Act by the Director of Public Prosecutions. These titles were liable for seizure and forfeiture of by the police, removed from sale or hire, and then destroyed, although they were not ultimately persecuted. This amazing list was discovered whilst researching legal paperwork for the original Video Nasties: The Definitive Guide. And finally, clears up why so many additional titles were historically considered to be Video Nasties. Titles include Bloodlust, Brutes and Savages, Cannibals, Dead Kids, Deep Red, Death Weekend, Demented, Eaten Alive, Headless Eyes, Hell Prison, Love Butcher, Mark of the Devil, Massacre Mansion, Savage Chair, Scream for Vengeance, Suicide Cult, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Extro, and Zombie Holocaust. So there we have the Definitive Guide 1 and 2. Next I have distributed by Anchor Bay Entertainment and directed by Richard Wenk is Vamp. And it says, The First Kiss Could Be Your Last, starring Grace Jones, Chris Makepeace, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, Robert Ressler, and Gedde Watanabe. Next, I have a drive-in special put out by Moron Productions, and it's directed by Michael Butt. And one of the films on here is called Vampire Ticks from Outer Space, and it's one of my personal favorite independent films from Wisconsin locally. And also on here is his film Yetis, which, to be honest, it's not bad. Neither one of these are bad films. They're just made on shoestring budgets, and I think that he thought he was going to be this great filmmaker, and people just weren't taken to his films. But he is a personal favorite friend of mine, and I enjoy his films every time he makes one. So, in any case, next I have Danny Trejo in a film called Voodoo Possession, and this one is directed by Walter Beholst. And there is a fate worse than death. And this was put out by RLJ Entertainment and Image Entertainment put together. Kind of a shiny little cover. Next I have Visitors. This was directed and produced by Richard Franklin. And this actually says on the bottom of here, not the final package, not final packaging, screener, not for sale or rental on the bottom, if you can see. That's kind of weird. Next I have a creature feature, and it says 2 great movies, 1 low price. Ha ha. And then of course Voodoo Curse, The Gita, and Mexican Werewolf in Texas. Terror has just crossed the border. Kind of a wicked cover. So the first film is directed by Glenn Plummer, and the second film is directed by Scott McGinnis. And this was put out on Maverick Entertainment's Creep Effects collection, which is their specifically for horror collection, Creep X, if you can see the logo here. But seems like a lot of companies seem to need to make a specific logo to make sure that horror was in its own section because they were ashamed of it or something like that, you know. But in any case, next we have Jamie Lee Curtis, William Baldwin, and Donald Sutherland showing up in a movie called Virus. And it's directed by John Bruno. It's a Universal release. And I really like this one. Next I have the Criterion Collection's copy of David Cronenberg's Videodrome. This was a Universal release. So, yeah. It's a double disc set. Should be, and I love how this thing kind of just looks like a VHS kind of a deal. Long live the new flesh. That's what it says. And then, of course, it's got the back of the tape, what looks like the back of the tape. I love that. In any case, that's it, everyone. Thank you for listening. Enjoy my look at all the films that I have in my titles of these. And I will definitely have some more cool stuff for you in the future. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. I will have some more cool stuff for you eventually down the road. But this is for sure the end of all of my V's and all my titles in my V's. Because if I had to say something, if I have something that has the word "the" in it, I put it in the T's. So if you think I'm missing something that might have had a V title, well, if it had "the" before it, I put it in my T section. So you'll have to eventually wait for my T section for some of what you would have considered V's. In any case, talk to you later, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
You were good, kid. Real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?